age ago, the beating heart of our people was a king who knew only victory. He wanted nothing more than an honorable death on the battlefield. Yet, none could match him, and so he wandered the earth, becoming lost in time and tide. Then we too lost our honest purpose, while silk-clad men sat upon the throne. But tremble now, all cities that lay under the stars, for out of the shadows and mists of the land of promise, our courage has been rekindled, our heart has returned, and the world will burn.
All right, how's everybody doing tonight? If someone could just give me a quick shout out in the comments and let me know that you can hear me, that would be great. Tonight, I just want to go back to what I was doing a couple of weeks ago and talk about great 80s comics. I'm going to go to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, and we're going to go through a lot of the comics that I have or remember and just talk about really good 80s comics. And let's see here. 1 second. I got to adjust my comments. Very great. Michael says he can hear me. Great. So, usually as I do this, I try to go through a lot of stuff and then come back to the comments. So if anybody has any questions for me, just put them in the comments and I'll give everybody a shout out and answer your questions after a little bit. And also to anyone who is new, there are two links in the description for my 3 books, Crom the Destroyer, The Valiant Heroes, and Thomas Valiant. And just to let everybody know, I'm trying to work out the last kinks for the handful of books for the Valiant Heroes, which haven't gone out because Indiegogo didn't capture a address for them, and I still can't get some of those addresses from the people. So we're going to start up Thomas Valiant number 2. The campaign for that I'm just going to start working on, I think, tomorrow. So there's that. And oh yes, my Twitter handle is in the comments in the description as well, just to let you know. My Twitter blew up over the last week. I have no idea why. I just I don't know, compared to my YouTube channel where I have like 22,000 subscribers, my Twitter had about 1,700 people that were following me, and all of a sudden it started to jump up by hundreds because I posted a couple of things that got reposted by somebody, I don't know, with a large audience. That's what I'm assuming. But anyways, I just post comic stuff on there. That's there as well. But let's look at some great 80s comics, because that's what everybody is here for, to look at some great 80s comics and talk about some great 80s comics. Put your comments, as I said, in the comments and tag me if you want to talk about them. And the reason I used the ROM cover that I did for my thumbnail is because it's where I want to start. I think it's April of 1980, because this is the second time we've done this, and I think I got up to March last time, and it wasn't very far that I got, because there were just so many good 80s comics in 1980s. So we're at April of 1980, and by the way, when I'm scrolling through this stuff on Mike's Amazing World, which is the name of the website that I'm using for this, I can't see your comments at all. So I apologize. I can't do those 2 things at once because it would just be way too small on my screen. So I will get back to the comments as soon as I can after we're done looking through some of these things. Let's scroll down a little bit here. I don't know if we got to this one last time. It goes probably a month ago. So I do have this comic right here, but actually it is a small digest, actually. and I still have that small digest. It's a Superman comic. I don't remember a whole lot about it, but let's go. And oh, if you haven't got to see, John over John's Long Box did an interview with Walt Simonson just about 3 days ago, 4 days ago. I think it was on Sunday. I think it was on Sunday. Anyways, it was almost 2 hours with Walt Simonson. I was in there for the entire thing, putting comments in. And the reason I say that is because they do talk about Battlestar Galactica, because this is Walt Simonson's Battlestar Galactica right here. He was working on the last couple of issues. I think he said he did 8 issues of it. At the very least, he's doing the cover here. I don't know if he inks this issue as well. Let's take a look. You got Louise Simonson is the editor. Pencil is Walt, and nope, inker is Klaus Janson. So, yeah, great interview with Walt Simonson. And how John gets these people, I don't know. I guess he just asks or knows how to ask. He's a very affable guy, but it was great to hear those questions from Walt. You can give him a question to answer, and he'll take 20 to 40 minutes to answer that question. So, he's a good pairing for John, which is funny because at one point, John started to talk for more than a couple of seconds because Walt basically didn't let him get a word in edgewise. And when John was talking for more than a minute, Walt kind of fell asleep, like literally. It was funny. I don't want to, say too funny because he's an older fella. I can see why that would happen, but it was a little bit funny to me. Anyways, Conan the Barbarian. Obviously, I have these Conan the Barbarian runs. This is, as usual, Roy Thomas with John Buscema. Let's see, Ernie Chan is doing the inking on this as well. He's a great artist himself. He did the Conan the Barbarian comic strip after John Buscema left. I think it was probably about 30 or so into the comic strip, which appeared in the paper. Let's see what else we got here. Mike Zeck covers on Captain America. Look, you can imagine this stuff on the newsstand. No, that's John Byrne. Sorry, not Mike Zeck. Let's see. Yeah, John Byrne. And I don't know if he did, how many he did. I'm sure I could pull it up, but I want to keep on with the, if I click over to the series itself, I'll probably lose where I am in the month. But yeah, imagine these things on the spinner rack, in your drugstore, in your gas station, in your grocery store. I remember them as a kid trying to sift through the ones I could get, but this is what comics used to be. This is what when comics was great. And here we obviously have the great Frank Miller on Daredevil. I don't know how far this was in Daredevil's run with Frank Miller. This is one of the earlier ones, if I remember. Klaus Janson, of course, doing the inking, who does almost all the stuff for Marvel when he inked not only Daredevil, but almost everything that Frank Miller did, if I remember correctly. But yeah, beautiful stuff. And one of the problems with Daredevil back then, when Frank Miller took it over, was he basically didn't have his own real, what do you call them? Villains gallery. So Frank Miller decided when they were doing this that they were going to put in as many, New York kind of villains that they could find, throw them into Daredevil and see if that would pump up the sales a little bit. Honestly, I have some of these Hercules comics. I think they're Charlton, are they? Yeah. I'll say obviously these Charlton comics weren't very good. Why? Because Charlton died a bitter and slow death, but it was because they just could not, I don't think, compete with the new style of Marvel. How's that? These are very, very old style comics that Charlton did. Scrolling down. Look at all this beautiful stuff right here. Detective Comics number 492. Again, five stories in this. This is oversized, which would basically be the size of a graphic novel right now for $1, which was a lot back then, I have to admit. But anyways, when you were buying comics, anyways. And then we got John Byrne on Is that John Byrne on Fantastic Four? Yep, John Byrne on Fantastic Four as well as Captain America. He's just churning them out for Marvel. Let's see, scrolling down. I think we did go through some of this last time, so I'll scroll down and see if I get to the next month. Look at all the Hulk that they have going here. We got one, two, well, there's UK ones, and then there's the normal Marvel, but they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Incredible Hulk. This is the time where they're coming off the high of the Incredible Hulk television series, which is why it was their big seller at the time. And Steve Ditko on Incredible Hulk in the 1980s. I don't know. I don't think, honestly, everybody praises Steve Ditko so much, but I don't think Steve Ditko and the Hulk go together. It just didn't seem to mesh to me. And this was also the Iron Man. It's right before I started collecting every last Iron Man I could get my hands on. I love the Iron Man run that started here. Let's see. And this Jonah Hex is one of the most beautiful covers. Jonah Hex covers are great. I did an entire stream about Jonah Hex covers and how they just have it down to a T how to draw a cover with suspense coming in 3 different directions at once. Scrolling down, and let's see if I have anything else here. It's a lot of Spider-Man that I missed out on at the time. And we get into the Richie Rich and the ROM, of course. Yes, this ROM, again, beautiful covers. I love ROM, and I was buying ROM from almost issue number 1. Let's see. It's Sal Buscema doing the art on that as well. I love the fact that I've said this a number of times. Both him and his brother can draw, well, almost exclusively draw people with nasty looking faces. Like they got some scowl on their face. Even the women, though they are beautiful, they had sort of a scowl on their face. And that's how you tell it's a Sal Buscema book. Even if you just open it and you're looking at one panel, you look at the people's faces, and that worked spectacularly for Conan the Barbarian. ROM, you could do it sometimes and sometimes not. Sometimes it would throw you to see people just scowling at each other. But anyways, beautiful Sergeant Rock cover. I remember having this one as a kid. I don't remember buying it, but it's probably one of my brothers. Let's see, scrolling down. Let's see what else we got here. Star Wars, Superman. We have this Superman. And if you're talking about, gender swapping DC characters, here you go right here. This is April of 1980. There you go. Scrolling down to a little more, and we'll get on to the next page because I want to move with a little bit more speed, hopefully, this time. Yeah, I think we might have done this last time because there's that beautiful X-Men cover with Phoenix in it. Dark Phoenix, that is. Scrolling down, you got John Byrne again. How many books is John Byrne putting out for Marvel a month? Honestly, let's move on to the next month. Here, we'll go to May and check out what else is on the newsstand in May of 1980. Again, this is what comics should be. This is what a healthy comic industry looks like. Honestly, there are plenty of comics that I fly right by here, but will appeal to someone else, and that's what comics should be. Just a smorgasbord of beautiful ideas and beautiful art. Here we have Avengers. What number is this? Number, let me see. 198, sorry. Yeah, I love Shonen Warriors. This Red Ronin, I had Shonen Warriors toys at the time, so I loved this issue. Let's see, scrolling down. And again, you got John Byrne here on Captain America. I have that. I would buy anything that John Byrne worked on. Honestly, I love John Byrne's art. That's why I always say I have Renzo working on my books, because I think Renzo is a combination of a young John Byrne and a young George Perez. And that's the style of art that I love. Just absolutely love. Scrolling down. Get some, I'll try to pull up some interesting covers here as well of things that I don't know and things that I've never bought before. But books like Creepy coming out of Marvel, because you still had the horror element in full swing. It wasn't as big a horror as you got in the 60s and stuff like that, but it was still there, along with the fantasy stuff like Epic, which I never bought this at the time, but I do have it now. I'll tell you right now, I bought plenty of the Epic whenever I can get my hands on them. Let's see, scrolling down again, John Byrne on Fantastic Four. Joe Sinnott, I think, is doing the inking here. Yep. Bill Sienkiewicz is the penciler? What? Let's see. So, oh, on the cover. That's what the penciler for the cover. All right, but it says writer penciler is John Byrne. Let's see, scrolling down. You got Silver Surfer, Flash, GI Combat. I was just posting some stuff about GI Combat again on my Twitter X account just over the last week because Veterans Day and all, and GI Combat again, beautiful books with beautiful covers is a lot of that GI Combat. Let's see, scrolling down. Let's see what else we got here. Some really good Justice League of America at the time, even though it was getting a bit stodgy compared to Marvel. This I don't know if I have the full run of who was doing it at the time. Jerry Conway. I'm not sure about that. I'll have to look that up in my stacks of comics. Oh, look at this. I thought it was a Wonder Man comic that I had never seen before. But this, you got Ron Wilson doing the pencils. This is Marvel Premiere. That's why I don't recognize it. But I actually now want to track down this book. Why? Because it's Wonder Man fighting the Destroyer. I got to see this. Let's see. We'll move back and scroll down a little more. And great looking book, which I just realized existed a couple of years ago. Merlin. This is Marvel Preview. Who the heck was doing it? John Buscema. That's what it was. That's why I came across it. Scrolling down. Because again, love John Buscema. He is the master of Marvel. Outside of Jack Kirby, I'd say John Buscema is the man who, well, I guess he was the man with John Romita that I would say built Marvel after Jack Kirby. Let's see, scrolling down, looking at all these beautiful covers. You got Star Wars. I do have this Superboy as well, which, yeah, I think I might have gone over a couple of these last time. But I have the Superboy because I remember it. That's one of the things I drew inspiration for writing the end of Thomas Valiant #1. Scrolling down, and look how many Richie Rich comics came out. Obviously, they were everywhere. And again, beautiful cover for Rom, which is a continuation of the cover from the last month. Looks like I can't even remember the character that looks like a Slad or a lizard man here. I don't remember the entire story arc at that time. Let's see here. Let's scroll down a little more and see what else we got in this month. Again, Superman comics weren't the best at that time, but I do have this one as well. I have a lot of Superman. I think, quite honestly, I don't remember if I've said this before or not. We had a lot of these kinds of comics, but I think there were the ones where you would buy them in a pack at, like, I don't know, Kmart or something like that. They were what were they? The Wilson or the Winston or something like that. They were to replace the DC logo with the Whitman ones. That was it. Let's see. This is an interesting Dracula cover. Not entirely sure I have ever run across that before in my life. That's a different kind of Dracula. Scrolling down, Goofy Comics. The Unexpected Unknown Soldier. Again, another character I love. Love the Unknown Soldier. And once again, you see these master storytellers creating such beautiful covers. Let's see. Joe Kubert, of course, doing the cover. Scrolling down a little more. You got Warlord, you got Scalp Hunter, you got X-Men, of course, with the Death of Dark Phoenix. But again, John Byrne was just churning things out for Marvel at the time. Let's go through at least another month. I got to go through at least another month. I think we might have gone through some of these before, but let's go try to get to June here. I got to engage the filter. Give me 1 second. Let's see what I remember from 1980 on the newsstand. Honestly, this is not a month that I am very familiar with. Look at that. Conan the Barbarian. That might be one of the few Conans that I still don't have, because there's still a couple of holes, because I never buy anything. It's so easy to buy things online, but I don't buy things online. I hunt for them, and if I happen to come across them in a comic shop, then I'll buy them. That's about it. I do have this GI Combat. That one I know. Again, read these GI Combat over and over and over again. They were giant books. Again, size of a graphic novel, for $1. That's probably why we had so many of them. Scrolling down. Once again, you got John Byrne on Fantastic Four in the middle of his run. And is this a Rampaging Hulk? Not entirely sure. Was that out at the time? It's Hulk number 22. It's not letting me open it up for some reason. There we go. No, this looks like it was, this was a digest. That's why. So it's just retelling older stories, if I remember correctly, although some of them were the Hulk newspaper strips as well. Let's see, scrolling down, but interesting covers nonetheless. Scrolling down, Mad Magazine, King Conan. Yeah, I have that King Conan, but I didn't buy the Conan for the month. I had the King Conan for the month. I don't know. I honestly don't think King Conan was ever as good a title as Conan itself, but at the very least, it got Marvel a chance to sell more Conan at the same time. 2 per month instead of 1. And let's see, scrolling down. Now we're getting a little bit into the things that I remember and have stuck in a box somewhere. This Fantastic Four. Oh, this is Marvel's Greatest Comics. That's why. And we're, I think, stuck right in the middle of Jim Shooter's run as editor-in-chief of Marvel here, because I remember Jim Shooter complaining so much about these things at the top of the comics. Let's see, scrolling down to see what other beautiful comics. Now, here's this Mystery in Space cover. Again, I think I had an older copy of this. I picked up another copy of it just about, 3-4 years ago, because nobody wants these comics. But this, again, the storytelling on this cover itself is just amazing. And I just buy these things in order for inspiration as a comic creator, quite honestly, and then read the stories. But, I buy it for the cover. Obviously, it is spectacular. Let's see, scrolling down, and you got, I forgot Savage Sword of Conan was out as well. So how many are they? They got at least 3 Conan, although we have Kull here on the cover, but there's at least 3 Conan, not per month, because I don't know if Savage Sword is out every month or every second month. I can't remember. But anyways, they certainly had plenty of Conan going, because, so there's Savage Sword. That must be a reprint, and then there's number 55. Okay, scrolling down. Let's see what else we can see here. Super Friends. A lot of Star Wars, 1 Star Trek. And again, have the Whitman copy of this spectacularly bad Superman comic. But yeah, Superman was just not the greatest at that time. We had plenty of them, though. Let's see. I think that's why we had plenty of them, because again, you buy them for half price, or not even half price, like 1/3 the price, if that, when you got them in the bundles from Kmart. Let's see, scrolling down, see what else we got here. We have a lot of Donald Duck comics, a lot of weird war comics at the bottom here. Your X-Men, classic X-Men cover here, of course, with the death of Jean Grey, which started off Oh yes, started off um, the war, we'll say, between Chris Claremont and Jim Shooter as to what should come after. This entire issue was Jim Shooter enforcing his editorial discretion on Chris Claremont, telling him, no, 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 no. What you want as the ending of that story is not good. I've told that many a times. Because Jim Shooter tells that many a times, I think. Let's go through one more. I love looking at these covers. Hopefully you guys in the chat are not falling off on this because it's getting boring or anything of the kind. I hope you're still there. Again, I can't tell because I would have to change my screens, but let's see what else we got here. Amazing Spider-Man. I wasn't collecting Amazing Spider-Man at this time. Archie Comics just coming out all over the place. Captain America, again, Conan. You got Hercules, the Charlton Comics there as well. There's DC Comics Presents was actually, in my mind, a better Superman comic than most Superman comic that came out at this time. I guess because it had more than just Superman in it. Maybe, I don't know. I couldn't tell you what my mind as a kid was thinking, but that's what I remember. Scrolling down. Again, this is probably a month that I didn't buy a whole lot of comics, but there is beautiful stuff here. You got Hulk. Again, who's doing Sal Buscema is doing Hulk at this time. And what else you got? There's Howard the Duck, if you're looking for something a little bit strange. Again, don't think this is an actual book. It might be a digest, but I'm not entirely sure. Scrolling down, and you had what? Man Thing in the background. Scrolling down a little bit more, we'll see what we got here. Master of Kung Fu, Fantastic Four, Micronauts, Superboy, Mystery in Space, Power Man and Iron Fist, which I loved, although it wasn't really the best book in the world until you got, once again, John Byrne working on it. Let's see, scrolling down with all the Richie Rich. What the heck is Rook Magazine? Quite honestly, I do not remember this at all, and I don't think I've ever even seen it before. I don't even know who published it. Let's see. It's Warren Comics. Rook. Okay. I'll have to look that one up when I get the chance. Scrolling down. See, even I'm coming across things that are new. And let's see. Scrolling down. Once again, there's Thor 300. I remember buying this off of the bottom shelf of there's a beat up old copy, bottom shelf of just a bunch of books in a hardware store. That's where I found this, and it has big creases across the front of it because it was bound in such a way, because this is, again, a huge book, if I remember correctly. When I say huge, I mean it was graphic novel length. So that's why when they bound it together and they put the glue on it, because you couldn't actually put a staple on it, there were too many pages, they would have to glue the side, and so the glue would run over your cover and just crease it all over the place. It's just the way those books came out, unfortunately. All right, scrolling down, we'll go to the end of this page, and then I'll see if I can get to the chat and talk to you guys a little bit, see what else is going on. Walt Disney, the black hole, that's what that is. I was wondering what the heck it was. It looked like Lost in Space. No, it's a black hole. All right, let me get back to the chat and see what is going on here. Give a shout out to everybody who's here. I'll leave that up just for a little bit. You know what I should have done? I should have made that bigger for you guys, but unfortunately, it's too late now. So Pedro is here. How you doing, Pedro? Warren, the Archangel, is here. Michael, Greg, Vaz is here. George is here, or was here. Anyways, I don't know how many of you are left. Tony is here. Let's see. Calliope is here. Nature is here and has been commenting on some of my other videos just today or yesterday. Was it Nature? Let's see. Vaz says, I just read the new Superman Absolute, and there is absolutely no joy at all in that comic. Good art, though. Well, at the same time, to me, good art does not trump a bad story. If it's a bad story, I'm going to put it down. Let's see. Scrolling down. Zach Dan is here. What else we got? Who else we got? Let's see. Scrolling down. All right, here we go. Let's see. George says, the first Captain America comic I got, the penciler was Ron Lim, and what made me buy it was that he drew Diamondback on the cover. Ron Lim and Diamondback. That would have been during, yes, I think that's late 80's at the very least that Ron Lim was doing that. And Diamondback became basically Captain America's sidekick for, I don't know, like 12 issues or so, something like that during that time. Yeah, I have all of those Captain America at that time. Zach Dan says, besides Stick, does Daredevil have any villains specifically for him? The Hand and Kingpin aren't exclusive. No, Kingpin used to be started off as a Spider-Man villain. The Hand, I'm not entirely sure where the Hand started, but exclusive villains for Daredevil, yeah, there are a couple and they're just ridiculous. Like Stiltman and Toro, a couple like that. So yeah, the ones for Daredevil are kind of ridiculous. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this down because it's so small. I'll remove that from my stage and I'll put myself in the corner so that you can see the beautiful, at the very least, the beautiful ROM cover. Let's see if I can move myself over, and I cannot. But anyways, you can see most of the cover. Let's see what else we got here. Bullseye. Yeah, George is right. Bullseye. But Bullseye, I don't know. What's the first issue Bullseye was in? Because I don't remember Bullseye actually being in anything until you got Frank Miller on Daredevil. So let's see. Scrolling down. Vaz says, I thought for a second RJ was about to click on Jughead comics instead of Jonah Hex. No, I didn't buy any Archie comics at the time. You honestly, in the 1980s, did not have to buy an Archie comic ever, because no matter where you went to, you'd find Archie comics. You just sit there and read them for something to do. Let's see. Scrolling down. Scrolling down. RJ is here. How you doing, RJ? Scrolling down. Let's see. Vaz says the cover of Superman RJ just showed is from the 80s. Oh, let's see. And Warren says Dark Phoenix cover is perfection. It's funny you should say so, Warren, because I was just talking to one of my artists about that Dark Phoenix cover. Who was it? It was Nick. And he was saying, you do realize that John Byrne's perspective is off here. I'm going, well, it's John Byrne. I'm not complaining. Scrolling down. Let's see. Baz says he still has those epic issues. I got to go through those again. There are multiple, if I remember correctly, multiple stories on them. Let's see. Scrolling down. George has a comment, says, if you're just the penciler, you can probably put out a lot of comics, but when you're the artist, you probably burn out real quick. I don't know. John Byrne must have just either been the fastest artist there is or burn himself out, one or the other, but I couldn't see him burning himself out because he worked for so long on beautiful titles. George also says, I'm assuming when it just says the artist in the credits, you do it all because they don't give credits to an inker and colorist when they say artist. That's kind of what I do when I am doing up my books. So I change it from penciler to artist, if I remember correctly. That's what I intended to do anyways. Scrolling down. Let's see. Zach Dan says, it's kind of weird the prejudice the British had against people with red hair historically, while they were liked in America. Then entertainment industry turned against them in the recent decade. I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to there, Zach Dan, but I'm going to say that if there was a reason why the British didn't like red hair, it was because red hair was associated with Irishmen, and the British didn't like Irishmen. That's about it, really, if you ask me. Let's see, scrolling down. George says, the red Wonder Man outfit The red outfit was Wonder Man's best outfit. His green one and black one were kind of weak. I would agree that the red one was the best. But what did he have? Because he had his own book in the mid 1980s. I think he had the red. Did he have the? No, he had the black one in that, and he didn't have the sunglasses either in that series that he had. But yeah, the red did pop. I'll give it that. Let's see. Scrolling down. Scrolling down. George also says, look how good that cover for Rom was. You're lucky to have an artist that good in today's comics. Yeah. These are you're seeing just when we're going through those pages, you're seeing cover after cover and book after book of spectacular artists. Not every book was a huge seller, and not every book actually passed muster when you put it together, but yeah, at least you had choices of good comics that you wanted to buy. Sometimes too much choice. That's what I'm saying when I was counting my pennies and whether or not I could actually buy some of these books off at Spinner Rack. You were never lacking for a choice, nor lacking for a choice of spectacular comics back in the 1980s. It was always, which ones do I buy? Because I don't have enough money to buy them all. Let's see. Scrolling down. Jay the Beast is here. He says, hey, RJ, sorry, I've been absent lately, working a lot of new projects, trying to make the world a better place. Great to hear. Let's see. Scrolling down. Manson, how you doing? Says, which 80s comics are you reading at the moment? Honestly, I'll tell you what I'm reading right at the moment. And I was talking to John's Longbox about this right now. If you're looking for me to answer that question, I'm reading New Mutants. I think probably I'm on number, what is it, like 4 that I'm rereading. But right now I'm also reading John Byrne's Elseworld X-Men, which is on his website, which basically he's writing where he left off X-Men, and he wrote, I don't know how many, like 20 more issues, but he just puts them up there for free because he doesn't own X-Men. So he's just giving them away for free. So you can go and read. If you want to read new 80s comics, and I know they're a couple of years old now, but if you never run across them and they're just black and white and pencils, but he does the lettering for them as well. If you want to go over to his website and read some actual 80s comics that you've never seen before. But they weren't created in the 80s, but that's what they are. Let's see, scrolling down. Zach Dan, this is a complicated question, and I will try to tackle it as quickly as possible so I don't get bogged down as I usually do. Is there an official Conan chronology order for the comics? Well, yes, the comics, for the titles there are, I would say, for some of them anyways. If you're looking for Marvel anyways. So I take it you're just talking about Marvel because we're talking about 1980s Conan. If you're looking for Conan the Barbarian, it has its own chronology and it goes in a chronological order. But if you're looking for Savage Sword of Conan, or the other magazines, they had no continuity at all. It was much more like a Robert E. Howard style. You would get standalone stories most of the time that didn't connect to any other issue, and usually they were just jumping around all over the place in parts of Conan's life. What else? Although for, again, King Conan, you would once again move back over to strict chronology of King Conan, and King Conan is at the end of his life, or towards the end of his life after he became a king. So if you're going to technically read them in order, if you want to read the ones which are chronological in order, you would have to go through the entire series of Conan the Barbarian and then start reading Conan the King. Let's see. I think I got that right. Let's see. Scrolling down. Let's see what else here. Faz says, Superman was better after Crisis on Infinite Earth. Yes, he was. Guess why? Because John Byrne took him over. Let's see. Scrolling down. Let's see. Calliope says, the Spider-Woman covers were always beautiful. Yeah. Unfortunately, the stories didn't hold up according to the covers. But yes, they were beautiful covers. Let's see. Zach Dan says, Micronauts is a good name and story, though the premise could have been used more. It could be just another world without changing much from what I know. Yeah, I don't have that many Micronauts. I do have some of them, and I bought them long and ever ago, so I don't know all of the story. But there are different versions of where the Micronauts come from, and the one that I am most familiar with was the fact that they lived in oh the I don't know, it's a microverse, and it was first explored by the Fantastic Four. Basically, if I remember the John Byrne way of putting it, they would reduce themselves to absolute zero and then enter into this um, subatomic world. Anyways, let's see. Ernest, yes, that Thor 300 is awesome, but would have been better without the big banner on the top of it. Yep. And again, unfortunately for me, I don't know if all the other covers had that problem with it, where they had the running of the glue over the cover of the, well, basically just grabbing at it on the spine. So let's see, scrolling down. George says they always go back to the Dark Phoenix uniform. It is iconic. I apologize to everyone. My power is flickering and my internet just went kaput. So, if anybody is still here, I apologize. I do believe that I'm in the chat here. Just one second. Let me know if you can hear me right now. Just let me know, anybody can hear me. Let's see. Okay, thank you, Michael. Okay, I apologize, and I'm probably going to have to wrap this up because, yeah, my power. I don't know what's going on. There's a windstorm outside, so it's something going on with my power here, and it just cut out my internet. So I will see if I can get through some more of the chat, and then I'll have to get moving. because I don't know how long my power is going to last because this windstorm might be taking down everything. Let's see. Scrolling down and actually, no, I think I'm at the place where I was. Again, apologize. And if there's anyone still here, I think we got 20 people still in the chat. I'll see if I can get a little bit more. But if you lose me one more time, I'll probably just going to have to call it quits because my internet might not be working because of the storm. Let's see. We have Greg in the chat. Greg says Archie cartoons and Bubblegum Rock was the biggest reason for the sales of comics. Bubblegum Rock? Oh yeah, going into the store to get candy. Yeah, most probably. Chris is here. How you doing, Chris? And let's see. Zaktan has a comment. He says, it's kind of neat that we know him as RJ instead of Mr. the Fourth Age. Let's see. Scrolling down. Baz says, the 80s comics I am reading right now is Savage Sword of Conan, 66 from July 1991. Reading it from the Dark Horse Omnibus. One day I will get to where I started collecting that series in the late 80s. I have a lot of stuff for Conan that I got to get through as well, Baz. Let's see. Scrolling down. Excuse me. Scrolling down. People talking about the G.I. Joe Omnibus. Let's see. Scrolling down if there's any more questions for me. Mystic is here. Says, too bad I don't remember most of the 80s since I was born in 84. Good year for pop culture from what I hear. Yeah, definitely. Good movies coming out as well around that time, before you started getting into a lot of the sequels. Scrolling down. Let's see if I can get through some more of this. Tony says, didn't John Byrne write a story in which a character called Sleaze forced Superman and Big Barda to film an X-rated film? Byrne's art is top-notch, but his writing was hit and miss for me. I don't know if they actually... Yes, there was a comic like that, and Sleaze did try to get them to do that. Whether or not they actually did that is another question or not. I think Scott Free got there before anything too untoward happened, the way that I read it. Anyways, scrolling down. Excuse me. Scrolling down. And I'm getting to the point where I was offline for a minute. So I'll just scroll through a lot of that and see if there's anything else. Scrolling down. I might be actually getting to the end. Oh, nope. The one thing I always should not do is say I'm getting to the end of the chat, because then my screen just skips and all of a sudden there's giant reams of chat that I haven't gotten to. Let's see. Scrolling down one more time. Let's see. Oh no, I am getting to the end of the chat. Honduran, how you doing? What does RJ stand for? Well, I'll leave that up to your imagination. Sorry. I like to keep it RJ just because I've had people trying to dox me from the first of my channel. They don't really do it anymore, but at the same time, it's always good to have a little bit of cushion there. Warren says, Rogue's Savage Land and Jim Lee's visuals were very refined. Her look moving forward, never thought by that perspective. Yeah. If you go back to the old Paul Smith stuff with Rogue in it, which is the first Rogue stuff within X-Men, Rogue goes through a massive change with first Silvestri and then going through Jim Lee. Let's see. Scrolling down. Mystic says RJ is actually a Superman villain, parasite in disguise. Okay, I'll go with that. Let's see. Scrolling down. I actually did get to the bottom of the chat, and I apologize again profusely to everyone for having the entire stream cut off there in the middle. And I'm sure if anybody comes in that isn't familiar with my streams, they'll go, what the heck is going on? But thank you once again for everybody for coming. I just wanted to talk about 80s comics tonight. I didn't really have a whole lot to talk about for, making comics great again. But I wanted to talk about great comics from the past, because it's always good to look back and see what beautiful comics there was and how comics should be and what we should be building towards. And in my mind, the early 1980s is what we want to build a new comic industry towards, even though it might not be the best subject. I think I'll continue to do this kind of thing every once in a while, because I want to look back at great 80s comics and, like I did tonight, find some great 80s stuff that I had never seen before. Let's see. Okay, I am going to once again. Let's see. Gonna have to take everybody off of there and leave you with the second trailer for Crom the Destroyer. Again, apologies to anyone who still hasn't gotten. I think there's like, I don't know, 14 people who still haven't gotten their issue of the Valiant Heroes, and I will work to get those out to the people who don't have an address attached to their Indiegogo account. So I don't know how that's even possible. Besides that, just a quick update to let everyone know that I am going to start working on the new Indiegogo page for Thomas Valiant #2, and I'm going to send the first 10 pages to the colorist, I think tomorrow, because Renzo is on page 40 of 60, and then there is a backup story of 22 pages of Mike Gustovich is probably going to be doing the art for that if I can get him to do it, and it's co-written by Don Chin in that book. So I'm going to have a lot of stuff. I have the posters getting worked on right now. One of them is already done. I'm getting the secondary one, which, if you know the Valiant Heroes stuff, the Cardinal poster, I got the guy who did the Cardinal poster, the one where you got the Renzo one, which is Cardinal B, and then there's the Cardinal A one where she's standing on top of the Japanese buildings, basically. I'm getting him to do another poster for me in a different character for Thomas Valiant #2. So again, working on that furiously right now. Going to start doing the Indiegogo page, so that by the time I get it done, I'll have enough of the art ready to put, I would say, at least 10 pages up on the Indiegogo site, and all of the posters ready and colored, because Renzo already did, I think, 4 posters for me. So I have almost all of that done. And again, we're working on furiously on Thomas Valiant #1. I want to get that out much quicker than the last couple of books, because we had trouble with the last couple of books, because both for the Valiant Heroes and for Crom the Destroyer I had multiple artists working on it, and it's just I don't know, it's something that didn't work out for me, we'll put it that way, having multiple artists on one specific book. But if I have, tagged artists that I know are going to complete everything, like I do have with Renzo, then we can do things much faster. And quite literally, he's almost done of the main story. He's on page, I think it's in the middle of the 30s, if not on the page 40 of 60 for that book. So just let everyone know what's going on with that. Anyways, Fade to Blue. Thank you very much, Zach Dan. Yes, Fade to Blue. I'm having trouble again getting Fade to Blue out. Why? Because I'm working on so many other projects right at the same time, unfortunately. The entire first issue of Fade to Blue is ready to go. We have all the art done. Script is ready to go. I do have to get my letterer to do the lettering on it, which usually doesn't take too long. And there's no coloring. If I am going to put any coloring on it at all, it's just going to be some blue within the black and white, and that's it. So that wouldn't take very long either. But the digital for everything else is ready. Like the entire first issue, digital inking and penciling is done, and we're working on issue #2. That's almost done. So I'm looking where to put it, not so much where to get it done or how to get it done. Part of it is already done. Like the first issue is done for art anyways. And there's just a couple of things to put on it, but I don't know where I'm going to sell it or how I'm going to sell it, which I have to contact a few people to do that. Anyways, so that's just a little housekeeping there at the end to let everybody know what's going on with my books. Thank you very much, everyone, for showing up. And again, as I said, I will leave you with the 44-second trailer for Crom the Destroyer, and I will see you all on Saturday or back here again next Wednesday. Bye.
No matter how many wars you fight, No matter how much blood you shed, no matter how much rage you loose, no matter how many demons you face, no matter how many companions you lose, no matter if our kingdom falls, I know that you will return to me in honor.